My wife and I had a baby recently, and aside from meeting my wife, she might be the best thing that's ever happened to me. And spending these past few months with her has been challenging at times, but incredibly rewarding, meaningful, and has given me this deep-seated joy that I don't really think I had experienced before. But spending this time with her has taught me so much about meaning, about happiness, about what I was looking for in life when I started pursuing self-improvement, when I started creating, and it just shed so much light on all of these deep, difficult questions that I had wrestled with. So I'm not saying you have to have a baby to find happiness, but that's why I'm here to share some of the lessons I've learned about happiness and about meaning from having our daughter. I think the reason a lot of us turn to self-improvement in the first place is that we felt a dissatisfaction with where we were in life. In my case, I was working a job that wasn't really meaningful. Sure, it kind of paid the bills, but that was about it. There wasn't much opportunity for advancement. The day-to-day work was pretty much stagnant, and the hours were overnight. I didn't love my job, but I didn't know where to go from there. And so I turned to things like self-improvement to try to lift myself out of that position. I think that's a common case, but the big issue with so much of self-improvement and so much of the way that I approached it, and I see a lot of other people approaching it, is that it still lacks meaning. It's additive, right? It's meant to keep you doing more, being more productive, being less distracted so you have more time to work on productive things. And the reality is, for a lot of us, we actually need to take a step back and find what makes us happy first, find what's meaningful first, before pursuing more of whatever it is. So if you actually want to find more meaning in your life, chances are you're going to have to do less. This was something I learned after the birth of our daughter because I physically could not do as much work as I did before. So many hours of my day were no longer mine to spend, especially early on when she was waking up every 2 to 3 hours to eat. There just wasn't the time to grind as hard as I did or to try to be as productive as I could before. I couldn't go above and beyond at work. I couldn't make videos as often as I wanted to before. And yet, because I had something that is meaningful, I didn't mind it. So in order to be happier, we need to do less things overall, but more of what's meaningful. Of course, that's easier said than done. And the question is, how do we actually find the work that's meaningful? And that's the difficult answer because it's different for everyone, but there are certain practices that all of us can apply to find meaning in our own lives. And the best way I've found to do this is to develop a sort of conversation with yourself at all times. This typically looks like some sort of daily check-ins with yourself or maybe multiple times a day. It could be journaling, it could be meditating and kind of sitting still for a specified amount of time, or it could just be stepping outside for a few minutes without your phone and just kind of feeling the air, feeling the smells around you, and figuring out internally exactly how it is that you are feeling. Whatever practice works for you, ultimately just having these daily check-ins with yourself is going to start to attune yourself to that inner voice that's telling you whether or not you're happy with your current situation, whether or not you're happy with the way things are going in your life. Of course, you may already know this and you may be acutely aware, but once you start to do this practice, you realize how frequently you actually go without ever really checking in on yourself. And once you have that self-awareness, you'll develop this keen intuition that will tell you whether things are right or wrong for you. As with the daily check-ins, once you start to listen to your intuition, you'll realize that oftentimes you've actually spent years denying your intuition, distrusting what you feel in your gut. So you'll need to relearn that trust as you start to understand what it is you like and dislike, as you unlearn the stigmas you've placed around your own self-voice. You'll start to see it come out more frequently in situations throughout your life. You'll start to know intuitively which opportunities to say yes to and which to say no to, which ones align with your mission, with what you enjoy doing, and which ones don't. And trust me when I say that when you found that thing that gives your life meaning, that gives your life purpose, you will know. You'll know because you don't have to justify it. You'll know because it feels right in your gut. You'll know because it is the thing you would say yes to no matter what. I spent a lot of my college years and even my early career trying to figure out what it was that I wanted out of life, what was going to give my life purpose and meaning. And each of those answers I had to justify. I had to figure out if I wanted to go into business and a certain aspect of business, or if I wanted to go into international relations and try to make a difference that way. But ultimately, I had to justify those things. I had to say that I wanted to do this because it would give my life purpose or meaning, or because it was kind of aligned with my interests. It wasn't an automatic yes. It was just an answer that felt kind of good enough. But when I am making videos, when I'm creating art and sharing it with the world, it's an automatic yes. It's the first thing I want to do in the day when I wake up in the morning. It feels like there's just this inner passion, this inner drive within me that's pushing me to create, and I can't explain it. And so ultimately, I think you have to find whatever gives you that feeling, and just trusting your intuition in each decision, building up your own self-awareness to be able to say yes to things that feel right and no to things that don't, until it adds up to some semblance of rightness, of meaning. And so as you think about meaning in your life, try to remember that it's not about the systems you create. It's not about being more productive. It's not even about having the right job, but it's about finding whatever those few things are. Maybe it's just one thing that gives you such a passion and such a fire to be alive. Maybe you've never felt that before, or maybe it's something you've been searching for, but I truly believe that that is out there for everyone. And it may take a lot of searching. It may take a lot of change in your life, a lot of striving to try new things, to say yes to things that you're uncertain about. But I believe each of us can find something that gives us that level of passion. For me, taking care of my daughter has shown me what's really important and what's really meaningful in my life, which is her, and it's my family and the people I love in my life. And beyond that, it's just sharing my story, sharing my perspective through the art that I create. And I don't know why this is the format of art that I was attracted to, or why I even have this inner drive to create, to tell stories, to make things that I think are worth sharing with the world. Maybe I'll never know why I started feeling that way, but I did discover that that's something I feel. It's something I consistently say yes to. It's something I consistently come back to, no matter how busy I get. And that is one of the things that gives me the most meaning in my life. So if you don't feel that tug, if you've never really felt that tug, if you're caught up in the cycle of a job and a distraction, of constantly consuming instead of pursuing meaning, don't pursue self-improvement or productivity hacks to try to make you a little more productive or a little less distracted, to spend a little bit less time on your phone, because ultimately those are going to be what really moves the needle and changes your life. You need to develop that sense of self-awareness to be able to understand and capture those impulses whenever they come into your life. And once you've discovered that, once you've found the thing that you want to go all in on, you won't pursue escapism to the same level that you did before. You won't need to worry about cutting back on screen time, because you'll have something you want to just do instead. So to find meaning, don't worry about self-improvement. Don't worry about the small changes you can make to improve your productivity or your habits. Worry about the big questions in your life. What are the big things that you want to be known for, that you want to define your life? And once you found those, just go all in on them. I certainly have found the things that give my life meaning, and I am so grateful for that.